Well, what a difference a day makes, huh, friends? What a difference. Aside from rejoicing yesterday, I spent much of my day rewriting this sermon. Today is November 8th and is 5 days past the 2020 presidential election. The results are final. Joe Biden will be the 46th president of the United States, and Kamala Harris will be the first female Black Indian vice president, Madam Vice President of the United States. If you feel like applauding wherever you are, feel free. It's a great moment. This last week has been such an emotional roller coaster. The day after the election, I was so disappointed to see that so much of the country had voted for a person who promotes fear and separation. I was disheartened because I don't feel that is who we are. And then yesterday, when we got the results that Joe and Kamala had won, I could feel like I could breathe for the first time in a long time. I felt as if a weight I was carrying over my heart and my chest had been removed from my body. Did anybody else feel that way? It was physical. It was physical. What was that weight we were carrying? What is it? What was it? So I couldn't let this day go by without addressing the issue that had been at hand for some time now. And that weight was fear. And the issue has been fear. It's safe to say that many of us have experienced some quality of fear, regardless of what side of the political divide we may have been on. Much of how we're accustomed to living our life and experiencing our elections as we've known them had been completely shaken. Jack Kornfield, Buddhist teacher, observed the following. He said that people had been feeling as if this is about survival. It's not just liberals who have felt this way, conservatives have felt the same way. Our limbic systems have been hijacked and our reptilian brains overtaken. President Obama's last speech before leaving the White House, he warned, democracy can buckle if we give in to fear. And his repeated invitation during all of his speeches during this 2020 campaign was, let's choose hope over fear. President Obama was very clear and consistent in reminding us to be cautious, to be very cautious with fear. So how do we respond in times of uncertainty? How do we remove fear, or how do we move from fear to faith? What does that look like? How would that work? Thich Nhat Hanh shares the following. He shares this story. He said that when the crowded Vietnamese refugee boats were met with storms or with pirates, if everyone panicked, all would be lost. But even if one person on the boat remained centered and calm, it was enough to show the way for everyone on the boat to survive. What is most important, teaches Jack Kornfield, is not to let fear take over your heart. Not to let your heart be colonized by fear. This is a historic time we are living through. As Gandhi said, when I despair, I remember that all through history, there have been tyrants and murderers. And for a time, they seemed invincible. But in the end, they always fall. Always. I had prepared a very, very different sermon for you today. My talk was going to examine the experience of fear that we were going through in this moment, right now. But in a matter of just the last few days, everything feels quite different. I was going to hold our hearts and walk us from fear to faith. But instead, I was walked from fear to faith. I need more faith. This week, I realized how little faith I had and how much more I need. I couldn't imagine we would have had a day like yesterday, as jubilant and joyful and peaceful as it was. I couldn't imagine it. I need more faith. The evolution of humanity is never a straight line. It's always crooked. So what do we do on this crooked line, on this crooked line, as we move from fear to faith? As always, my sermons are about what I need to remember and to learn. So I'd like to explore with you now the creative power of envisioning with faith. If we envision with faith, can we be creative partners in the evolution of humanity? Can we actively participate inside? Sometimes when we talk about envisioning or creating or manifesting, people just kind of roll their eyes. They don't always take it seriously. But think about it. Everything in your life came to be by either you or someone else envisioning it. Whether it's the objects we possess or the home we live in, they were all created out of somebody's vision, somebody's imaginations, somebody's belief in what they could make happen. Whether it's your computer, your Zoom program, your pen, the paper you're going to write on, take notes, it was all somebody's vision. Somebody believed in it. Somebody had faith in this. Whether it's the home you lived in, somebody you believed or you envisioned where you wanted to live. You envisioned and made choices to take you into where you wanted to go. Fear did not drive you to the home you live in. Fear did not drive us to creating things. Fear stands in the way of all of that. But envisioning and faith creates and manifests. Having faith in what we have envisioned gives it power. Faith is not specifically a religious term. It is defined as trust and confidence in a thing or a person. Fear pushes us backwards. Love and faith moves us forward. Nelson Mandela shared the following. He said, "I learned that courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. I felt fear move more times than I could remember. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers the fear." I need more faith. When we focus, what we focus on our friends, we create. Genesis 1:27, God created man in his own likeness. Most scriptures, excuse me, most religions take this scripture literally. But I interpret this as we are created in the likeness of our Creator, in that sense, in the fact that we can also create. We are co-creating our lives all the time. We're creating every day by what we envision and what we have faith in. And again, It's not in the religious sense when I'm saying this. Unitarian Universalist communities speak about the beloved community in so many Sunday services. But to create the beloved community we long for, we are called to envision it with faith. Dr. Martin Luther King used to ask his followers to help him love the world in a better, used to ask his followers to have the faith to love the world into a better existence, to be his partner in loving the world into a better existence. Now that is envisioning through faith. And that's the exact same faith we're called to remember right now. Let's keep our faith clear as to how we want to envision this country and this country's response in the next few weeks until the transition of power is complete. Let's keep our faith clear in what we want the next 4 years to bring us. The evolution of humanity's crooked line will take another turn. We have much work to do, but unless we have much work to do, and certainly there will be obstacles in our way, but eventually the tipping point will come and faith will move to overtake fear. I need more faith. The following are the words of Van Jones from his CNN interview. Not even an interview. There was a clip yesterday, and I think most of you saw it. If you didn't, I would strongly suggest you go online and witness this wonderful man weeping into the camera as he spoke. And he said, now we can breathe. It's easier to be a parent this morning. It's easier to be a dad. It's easier to tell your kids that character matters, that being a good person matters. Joe Biden will be our next president, and Donald Trump will not. This is a vindication for a lot of people who have suffered under this administration. If you are Muslim in this country, you won't have to worry about the president not wanting you here. If you're an immigrant, you don't have to worry about your babies being snatched away. If you're a dreamer, you won't have to worry. You won't have to be worried about getting sent away for no reason. When George Floyd was murdered, he said, I can't breathe. Over these past 4 years, too many of us have felt like they couldn't breathe. Waking up every day to this president's tweets has been exhausting. Going to the store while people get nastier and nastier as they become less and less afraid to show their racism makes you tired. Being worried about if your sister can go to Walmart and get back in her car without somebody saying something offensive to her it's not okay. We've spent so much of our life energy just trying to hold it together over these past 4 years. Biden's victory is a huge deal for us. Now we get a chance to get some peace and reset. The character of this country matters again. Being a good man matters again. I want my sons to look at this and understand it's easy to do things the cheap and easy way. You can get away with that for a while, but eventually it comes back around. That's a good thing for this country. I'm sorry for the people who lost, he said. For them, it's not a good day. But for a whole lot of people, it's a good day. You know, I'm not a person that cries a lot, but I cried yesterday all day, and I'm probably going to start to cry now. I had written a talk about fear, and my fear moved away. And in my tears, I remember that the work is not done. We have allies, we have chances, but the work is not done. As a group of Unitarian Universalists focused on social justice, our work is just going to be, hopefully, a little easier or a little more attainable than it might have been in the last 4 years. So let us not, for a moment, stop pushing forward. This is the great moment that those of us that are activists in the things we do on the outside, and those that are activists on the changes we want to see on the world on the inside, need to really, really focus and up our game. This is our chance, friends, for that divine love that runs through all of us to run stronger and thicker, to love harder, to forgive more easily, to be better angels to those that we might have seen as the enemy. This is our chance. Yesterday was an extraordinary opportunity to witness Kamala Harris, a brilliant Black Indian American woman, daughter of immigrants, speak to us as Madam Vice President-elect on the 100th anniversary of the women's suffrage. How perfect. And perfectly a week after Arlene had given her fabulous talk, reminding us on this topic. And Joe Biden got to speak and focus and welcome us to his focus of unity and love. And maybe Joe taught me best yesterday as he repeated the same story he spoke about so much on the campaign trail. He said how his father would say to him as he was darting out of the house, "Joey, keep the faith." And his grandmother would correct him and say, "No, Joey, spread the faith." Thank you, Joe and Kamala, for today and hopefully for tomorrow. My faith has been restored, and I'm so grateful. Excuse me, I need a tissue. I'd like to close today with an affirmation and a prayer. You could see it as either or. Today, we gratefully recognize the thread that connects us. This thread could be love, it could be God, it could be whatever we deem sacred or holy, but it is the thread of connection. May this thread of love and unity awaken us for all, in the name of love and in the name of all that's good and compassionate. May it be so.